What's up, everyone? Tuesday, February 11th, 2021, and Raptors are coming off a loss to the Boston Celtics, 120 to 106. Boston's 13 and 11. I believe they're in third place in the East. Raptors sitting in sixth at 12 and 14. Tough loss for the Raptors coming off a road trip, 5 and 5 in their last 10 games. And Boston's also coming off a 5-game road trip. Granted, they're at home right now for this win, but Raptors, if you saw the game, it's not like the Raptors kind of like started off slow and then, dwindled off towards the end. Raptors haven't played good against Boston in God knows how long. Going back to last year's playoff series, as I've said before, and as most of you guys know, going into when they were down 3-0 and OG hit that shot, that three-pointer, the Lord's Prayer that ended up to dropping. Raptors, to be honest, probably should have been swept in that series, but caught a little bit of luck and a little bit of fate to go to 7 games and lost to the Celtics. But not too many positives in this game for the Raptors. Ended up losing by 14. Kyle Lowry, for sure, probably like the lone bright spot in this game. Dropped 24 points, 6 assists, shot 10 for 15. One of the few guys, if not the only guy that shot above 50%, not Aaron Baines, who we'll get to in a second. And Kyle's been this team's MVP. We're going to address the trade rumors that are blowing in a little bit, but nobody really brought it today. Like, we know that Pascal's been a lot better recently, and he was probably their second best player today. He scored 23. Points don't always mean everything. Defense was pretty decent today. Norm Powell, I've been saying this forever. Just going to a lot of games in person the last bunch of years that I've had the tickets. Norm, I said it from maybe his rookie season, and for sure his second season. I kind of compared him to DeMar. California guys, UCLA and USC, super athletic. We know both these guys can throw it down pretty much on anybody. But the thing with Norm that kind of had me thinking maybe this guy has a little bit more possibly potential or being further ahead on the player development earlier in his career ahead of DeMar was that he could shoot a little bit more than DeMar. You guys know that when DeMar came in, he was not a good shooter at all. Developed into one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. But the thing with Norm is getting back to what I was going to say, is his touch around the rim. If he's not dunking on you, don't watch the replay of what happened, because he threw one off the backboard, and there was a post on Instagram that says something like when a soccer player comes to the ball court and tries to do a layup. It bounced off his hand and pretty much went to the free throw line. Mind blowing. Anyways, Raptors did not look good today. But once again, like, they're in a playoff spot. They're in 6th somehow. Like, the Eastern Conference is so bad that this team is still in a playoff spot after the start that they had. And Fred VanVleet, he's been good recently for sure. But the thing that separates good players, star players, elite players is consistency. And Fred has not really, he's been pretty good all season, but the shooting, and just due to his lack of size, I think that's been really his biggest issue, and he's not going to overcome that in the NBA. Shot 2 for 9 today with 5 points. I know he had 11 assists. Defense is usually there, and the team scored 106 points. Like, I know Boston's a good defensive team. These days in the NBA, if you're not getting to 110, you're probably not going to win any basketball games. Defense was not great. There were some possessions where the team did bring it, but that was in spurts, and it wasn't consistent. And going against a team like Boston, who you're not really having the easiest time with as it is, just because they're so tough defensively, and they have 2 elite players, one for sure in Tatum, and then Jaylen Brown just been on a different level this season as well, a guy that I've been singing his praises. You have to bring it almost every possession if you want to beat a team like this, especially on the road. We can't be looking at excuses like this team's on a 5-game road trip. Like I said, Boston just finished a 5-game road trip and had this game at home. So it's not really like any team had an advantage there. Nick Nurse's rotations, I have no idea what he's doing. I don't. I'm not here to defend guys like Watson, or even like Terrence Davis. Terrence Davis, 14 minutes today, 1 point. Stanley Johnson, we know that really they're playing him. The motive to play him early in the season was just because they're paying him so much money for what he's brought to the table. He picked up the player option, I believe it's like $5 million. He might have played a combined 100 minutes last year. We like what he's done defensively for sure, but Matt Thomas, like, he's probably the best three-point shooter on the team. If not, he's probably right there with Kyle and Fred. We need spacing on this team. They don't have really much spacing other than those two guys. We know that OG has been pretty good. He's been out of the lineup for almost 2 weeks now. Play him. I don't like Bembry. I posted a clip today. DeAndre Bembry, I like him for what he is. You know what I mean? Coming from Atlanta, he's a bring your hard hat to work kind of guy. He's a grinder, very similar to Hollis Jefferson. Better touch around the rim, better shooter. I saw him bringing up the ball today after an inbound, and I wanted to throw something at the TV. Like, what's going on? Do you need me to bring up the ball at this point? I don't really know. You have so many guards on this team. Chris Boucher, 12 points, decent. And Terrence Davis had no points today. I said one. He had 1 assist. Baines, I ran a few clips for him as well on my page. We know he can't really get off the rim. Off the ground to finish at the rim. One of the worst finishers at the rim for sure, at the center position. Something has to be addressed. I don't know what to do. Maybe pass out of those plays, because these shots that he's taking at the rim, he's padding his stats. I want to say, who used to do that? It might have been Bosch. You missed Valanciunas. You missed so many shots at the rim. By the end of it, you have 5 or 6 offensive rebounds, and they're all your weak shot attempts. And he's been doing that a lot. Not as many 3-point attempts today because OG was out. I kind of crapped on this team for taking way too many threes. You just need a bit more consistency. And getting back to Nick Nurse and what I'm not really sure what he's doing. Do I have faith in him as a coach? Of course. I don't want to say that I've lost faith in him as a coach. Very creative coach on both sides, offensive and defensive, but something needs to be done there. I want to talk to the Kyle Lowry trade rumors that have been going on. This season, I've kind of lobbied for a little bit of, not tanking, but I guess playing as it is, and was kind of hoping for a lottery pick this year in the draft. Only because, as you guys know, as the season started, the Raptors were not doing good. Excuses. They were in Tampa. They weren't at home. It's a messed up season with COVID. That's fine. Adjustment, losing two of their 2 best front court players in Gasol and Ibaka. There's a lot of adjustments coming. Guys not really playing with each other much. There's not, if any, practice is due to COVID protocols for this team. Maybe sit the season out. Nobody's saying don't try, but all of a sudden this team, just due to talent, the East being so bad, and at times defense, they're sitting in 6th place in the East. I've spoken to some friends and said there's not one team, if they finish 5th or below, that I can see them beating in a 7-game series. They're not going to beat Philly, not going to beat Boston, not going to beat Milwaukee, not going to beat the Nets. The Nets we could do a different when Igor comes back. We've talked about them. Just too much firepower when they're going to come in the playoffs. Durant hasn't played a lot of this season. The 3 of them haven't played together. When they have played 2 or 3 games, they scored 135 points. Sure, they lost 2 games to Cleveland. We know that in the playoffs, these guys are going to bring it. Durant's a Finals MVP, an MVP, one of the 10 best players of all time. I'm not worried about them at all. Getting back to the Raptors, they're not going to win a first-round playoff series. There's no need for ownership to need to get a gate. They're not making any playoff money. They're not playing in the city. Other than keeping their playoff streak alive, keeping their culture and all of that, in just another playoff run and building off of another season, I don't see really the need for it. Now, if you're trading Kyle Lowry, what's your motive? He's a free agent at the end of the season, expiring contract. I believe it was something around $30 million that they gave him last year, the 1-year deal that will expire at the end of this season. But what are you doing? If you're trading Kyle Lowry, I think what you're telling the fan base, what you're telling the team and its fans, is that we're mailing this season in. Because Kyle's been their best player by far this season, most consistent player, offensively, defensively, their best point guard. Obviously, Fred has done a very good job when he's playing that role. But when you're trading Kyle, you're trading the heart and soul of this team. And I'm not for the cliches or anything, but if you do get rid of Kyle, we know he's not going to be here forever. It's going to be a different vibe to this team. I'll miss him for sure. I know that we've all talked about on this show Kyle. He hasn't been the best player ever, but he's been the most consistent player for this team. And in Game 6 in the finals, he stepped it up, of course. And I'm just looking at possible trades. So this season is averaging 17.6 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Incredible numbers. Not even just stats, the eye test. Like, he's still playing at a pretty decent level. He's missed some time due to injuries, that's fine. Playoffs comes, you know he's going to bring it every game. What trade is going to make this team better? So if he's going to Miami, who we know that Miami's wanted him for a long time. We know that the Clippers and Kawhi want to bring him in. 76ers, of course, where Kyle's from in Philadelphia. Why would they not want him? They haven't had a point guard in forever. Ben Simmons is not playing really the point that much this season. So if he goes to Miami, you're getting probably some kind of parlay of Duncan Robinson. None. I don't think they're going to send Dragic in that deal. It just doesn't make any sense. They just extended him. He's a big piece to what they did last year in the finals. If he was healthy, they might have won. And then maybe a first-round pick. Duncan Robinson, one of the best three-point shooters in the league. Defensively, below average. Kendrick Nunn, pretty decent, like 6-man off the bench, fill-in starter at the point guard position. And that first-round pick, depending on how Miami finishes the season, you have to think they're going to make the playoffs. And a mid like lottery pick towards 20. I don't know. Like, I guess you're taking that haul. The Clippers are offering something along the lines of like Terrence Mann, who I'm not a fan of, second-year point guard. Lou Williams, been there, done that. No, thank you. He's been not great this season. Patrick Beverley, no thanks. And I don't want to give him to the Clippers to, make Kawhi happy, to make the Clippers the Raptors of California. So to me, that's a no for sure. And then the 76ers, I've seen some trades along the lines of Seth Curry, Danny Green. No, thank you. Tony Bradley, a rookie center who's hasn't been great, and a first-round pick, which is probably going to be 25th, 26th, 27th overall. I know that if you're trying to, you don't want to lose anybody for nothing. We've seen this happen. The Raptors seen this before. Chris Bosh left for nothing. It's part of sports. Sometimes you just lose a free agent. Really, the question I have is, what message are you sending to the team and to the fans, once again? Because if you're trading Kyle, I'd rather have him leave and the rest of the NBA and the fans kind of look at it as, okay, Kyle's time was up. He didn't want to resign with the team. He took more money to leave the team, as opposed to Masai, Bobby Webster, just trading him away for the sake of some scrap parts and possibly a late first-round pick. Now, if the offer presents itself where you're getting a lottery pick, a team that's not in the playoffs, that's trying to get it for some strange reason, Detroit wants to throw you a first-round pick for him this season, take it. I don't think that's happening. And for that reason, the Lakers obviously want him to. Lakers don't really have the assets. I can't see them swapping Schroeder for Kyle, even though Schroeder's going to be free at the end of the year too. Doesn't make much sense. They have no first-round picks because they traded every pick they had to get Anthony Davis and won the title. So there's just not too many scenarios that I see of the Raptors trading Kyle and bringing back anything significant that's going to make them younger and give them any kind of real future foundational players. And if you're not going to do that, what's the point of trading him? Like I said, it doesn't set the right tone for the team and for the fan base. And you don't want arguably the greatest Raptor of all time, for sure in terms of longevity, is Kyle. And a guy that, even though the Raptors, offered him these contracts, it's not like they undercut him or offered him less money. The Raptors paid him handsomely, and he still stayed. Could he have gone to a worse team? Could he have gone to Philly in free agency? For sure. And the Raptors have obviously not had very many guys re-sign. So if I'm the GM, I'm keeping Kyle because the pros and the cons, there's way too many cons to trading him. You're not being a better team. And like I said, the return is not enough to do it. And I'd rather Kyle leave on his own terms and kind of wash my hands clean, as opposed to me forcing the hand and trading him out of the city. And it's not a good PR look, and it's not a good look at all. That being said, I hope he stays because I'm going to miss even his intros. Raptors intros, as you guys have seen. I'll see if I can edit something in here. There's just so much good energy and good chemistry with Kyle and this squad. And we've lost Marc Gasol. We've lost Valanciunas before that. I'm just talking about big culture guys. Serge Ibaka. And you want to keep as many guys as you can. I know you can't keep everybody all the time. Norm might be on his way out just in terms of his contract being over next season and just fit. And if you're going to do some type of rebuild, which I don't think they're really doing, if anything it's going to be a retool, they're always hoping to get a free agent. I just don't see, like I said, any of these scenarios really making the team better. That being said, wrap this one up. touch base with you guys a little bit next week. And in terms of like trending, I see the Raptors making the playoffs now, and not to say that I didn't believe it was going to happen before, more so hoping that they would have. But this team looks like it's a playoff team, like I said, just based on the East being so bad. The Knicks probably have to come back to earth at some point. I don't think they can play this type of defense all season to kind of sneak them in. And all the teams above them, like I said, and the only team I miss out really is Indiana. Another team I don't think the Raptors can really beat in a 7-game series. I know they split not home and home, 2 road games in Indiana. But I just think that they're a much more well-rounded team, veteran team, more polished team than the Raptors. But we'll see how the season plays out, continue to give updates, and probably do like a trade show, predicting some trades before the deadline and then once again after. So that being said, Thursday, February 11th, 2021, Joe for Fire for On the Block. Check you guys later.